And it's what's led to Martin Luther King being vaunted as this patron saint of colorblindness, and completely misunderstanding his philosophy around colorblindness. And so, and I have,
because he said we want to be treated by the content of their character, and it's
that
like
one line, I had a whole speech. And so Michael Eric Dyson, wrote a book about King, and one of his opening comments was how King has been funneled through, I think he said something like 37 words out of his whole legacy, right? That one sentence.
Right.
And so his proposal when he wrote this book on King around the early 2000s called I May Not Get There With You, was to let's just put the kibosh on the I Have a Dream speech. Let's just stop reading it and let's read his other stuff.
Right.
So now I 100% agree with reading his other stuff, particularly a book that had been out of print from what I could tell. At least I had trouble finding it for decades. Where Do We Go From Here, which thankfully is back in print. Most people have read Why We Can't Wait, or they've read Letter from Birmingham speech, or they've read the I Have a Dream speech, and that's it. Now I totally agree. Let's read Where Do We Go From Here in particular. Stride Toward Freedom, which was one of his first books written in 1955.
Yep.
Let's read all of Why We Can't Wait, particularly the last couple of chapters where he's very specific about the need for race-based remedies to race-based discrimination.
Right.
But I have the opposite recommendation. Let's not put I Have a Dream on ice. Let's not lock that up. Let's do the reverse. Let's actually read it, all of it, because the first third of it, he doesn't use the word, but the first third of that speech is about reparations.
Oh,
he comes in there saying, we are here to cash a check.
Oh, wow.
That has been stamped insufficient funds.
Interesting.
A check that is owed to us. He uses that analogy of cashing a check about 6 times in the first page or so.
Wow.
Of that speech. To me, that reads entirely as reparations.
Wow.
Then the next the next segment of the speech is about the urgency of change, kind of getting back to the title of that book that had just come out, The Fierce Urgency of Now, following up on this book title of Why We Can't Wait. So it's speaking to liberals that are saying, oh, just give it time, it'll work itself out. And so he's saying, no, it's not. And if it doesn't, the stuff is going to hit the fan. Again, I'm really simplifying this language. Almost not using threatening language, but very ominous language, right? So that's the second chunk of that speech. And then the third chunk of that speech is all these aspirations, all these dreams that he has, right? But that second chunk, there's a whole theme there, and you can count it. He says it's about 12 times. Now, he's a minister in the Southern Baptist tradition. You repeat yourself, right? So he does that. But he says, we will not be satisfied until, we will not be satisfied, we will not be satisfied, over and over and over. So that's urgent, right? And then that last third of the speech is again where he gets very aspirational, and he talks about these dreams. And the content of our character was one of about 8 other dreams. And so the fact that that whole speech has been boiled down to one dream, overlooking the urgency piece, overlooking the reparations piece, is why, if it were up to me, I would have the exact opposite. Let's not put that thing on ice. Let's have everybody read that whole speech. And now I go on rants about this because I teach a class, a first year seminar on King and Malcolm X. And so we go through that speech. And so that's how I can tell you, he said this 6 times. He said that 8 times. And so it does have these 3 kind of chunks to it. But that first part, if you look at the first part, he's talking about reparations.